Hey yo! What's goody, everybody? Today's topic: marriage, the order of importance. God, yourself, spouse, kid. In that order. Although all of them are valuable, the one preceding is more important. If you shift 4 to 1 or 2 to 3, your whole being will begin to shrivel from where it used to be. So today, we're going over that very thing, the importance of this order. So now that we're live, let's dive. Point number 1, God and yourself. God is our foundation. He's the source of the love we share. So we need to adhere to his first instruction for our own self-care. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. It essentially says, imitate his love by how Jesus walked and died for the sins of me and you. Patience, kindness, forgiveness, and humility is through him we understand the true definition of tranquility. For patience, Jesus showed it whenever he took the time to explain his parables to his disciples. And when he was encountered by his enemies, he never deviated from that cycle. For kindness, Jesus has many examples of healing the sick, curing leprosy, and giving sight to the blind. Regardless of our own setbacks, there's no excuse to not be kind. For forgiveness, in Matthew 18, he explains why we are called to forgive. It's not about forgetting the act, it's about showing grace for whatever they did. And lastly, for humility, in Matthew 5:41, if someone forces you to walk with him 1 mile, instead walk with him 2. We're told to cast our pride to the side and assist them, even if they don't like you. Love is created through the 4 words mentioned above. So it's our job to retain all the messaging he gave us from above. So since he created it, he's number 1. And since we're the first recipient, we're number 2. So now I'll dive into why your second half should never come before you. Point number 2, spouse. Oftentimes we call them our better half, our angel, or the one we feel we don't deserve. But regardless of how special they are, you should never put them first. As God instructed, we must imitate him, not anybody else. So if we cater our every action to that person, we're chipping away at ourselves. He gave us our roles in Ephesians 5:22 through 33. Wives are to submit, while husbands are to love how Jesus loved the church. The instructions are simple, but we generally struggle with what we prefer. When the wife submits, it's an act of love from above. But if a husband abuses that favor, it's the opposite of Jesus' love. Demanding, silencing, or abusing your spouse for not adhering to you. Although you're in a position of power, that's not what God instructed you to do. And when a husband loves his wife, that's an act of love from above. But if a wife refuses to submit, that's the opposite of Jesus' love. Dismissiveness, interjecting, or refusing to agree is in these moments demise is the only thing to foresee. The key to God's instructions isn't to subject yourself. The key is to demonstrate the love within you to everyone else. Jesus never deviated from his being when interacting with others. So we're instructed to remain ourselves through his love to our sisters and brothers. Both roles in marriage require patience, forgiveness, kindness, and humility. So regardless of which role you fill, love is required for stability. No house can thrive with 2 kings, and no house can thrive with 2 servants. But if a house will surely crumble if either one of them becomes a serpent. So communicate, compromise, forgive, and never be apart. Because if we begin to deviate, our hearts will eventually fall apart. So now that we've gone over where to position your other half, now let's dive into why your kids in this scenario must be in last. Point number 3, kids. Kids are amazing. There are mini-me's. They look, talk, and admire everything we do, but we must be careful we don't place them above what is true. After all, the 5th commandment is, honor thy father and mother so that your days may be long. There's a reason there's nothing in the Bible that says that order is wrong. They're instructed to adhere to us, not the other way, because if we reverse that order, the titles will begin to fade away. Entitlement, privilege, disrespect, and expectation. If they always get what they want, that's what they'll expect in every situation. Over time, that's bound to eat away at your joy. And that excitement you once had will be the very thing that will destroy. Solely because you placed them before you. That's why we have to stick to what God says is true. Now, children, as I know, require much more personal care than an adult. And as they get older, they join sports and clubs, so we don't gain any time as a result. But throughout it all, two things are present when they're in our house. They're only here for a limited time, and they're watching how we interact with our spouse. So if we put our kids first, the marriage will break once they move out, because we made them our source of happiness. And while they're under our roof, they'll question any advice we gave them because it was all rooted in sadness. So the purpose of this is to always remember, put your marriage before your kids. It's not a matter of selfishness, it's the cycle of love created by Him. So in conclusion, let's not compromise this order of marriage, because if we don't adhere to God's design, the relationship will only disparage. To manifest love, it starts from the top, then trickles down to the bottom, because if we gather our love from the root, everything else is bound to blossom. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, please feel free to check out the channel and subscribe, because there's more in store. From one witness to another, you are special. Hook out.